Hi.
Hello, David.
How are you?
Happy July 20th. Here we are. We're back on webcasting again. Barry kind of put a dent in us last week.
Yep.
Storm Barry. It was very rainy. But
Barry.
Yeah, we're here for the ArtStreamLIVE webcast, July 20th, 2019. And we've got hey, I like the duck. Duck.
Duck.
Oh, forgive
man.
me, Big Buck.
It's been a while, huh?
We're going to, on ArtStreamLIve, a cultural update. Yes. So we're going to go into some news in the art world. New exhibitions now on display. This is an exclusive. These are all at the Mobile Museum of Art. And the curator for these exhibitions we're going to look at is a gentleman named Stan Hackney. He's a curator of contemporary art, and he organized these exhibitions we're going to look at. So we'll start off with a friend of ours that we both knew.
Yep.
You know,
Fred
we called
Marchman.
him Fred, but official Frederick A. Marchman, and he is a Southern pop artist, is what he liked to call himself. And he was a Southern original, a local artist in the area that had a immense repertoire of medium, paint, canvas, concrete, metal, bronze, charcoal crayon, silk screen. He was a sculptor, illustrator. He did what he wanted to do.
He could get his hands on it. He made art.
He made art with it, and he really was. Now, this exhibition will be up through July the 12th is when it opened, which was just last week, and then it'll be up through November 17th. And Fred, unfortunately, passed away in 2016. But he was a character, and he even made duck decoys.
Yeah.
He was influenced by the Confederacy, television, Southern Bells, Flowers, kudzu, 50 automobiles, duck decoys, and the female nude. So and we'll see some of that as we look at it. And he had a good career. He went to college, got an art degree, and a master's degree. Went to Tulane, I believe, and got a master's as a sculptor. Taught. He actually volunteered for the Peace Corps for a while and taught school down in Ecuador. He did that. So and he taught at Community College, Faulkner Community College. And he's got artwork in the Birmingham Museum, the Montgomery Museum, the Mobile Museum in Alabama. So he's well represented. So we'll take a look at some of his works, look at the show. And gives you an example of the various things like some bronzes. Duck decoys. I mean, it's quite an exhibition. In fact, Stan Hackney, the curator, he got some examples of his early work. He even got a piece from high school to start the show off. So it's quite a range of work. What I like about Fred did such a variety of things. It's kind of like a one-man group show.
Yeah, that's
so
true.
I like that. So, but these are actually down in the regional gallery in the Mobile Museum of Art. So we can go through, and we got a table with little bronze castings. In fact, that painting on the left, that's the high school piece. Those first 5 are earlier works from when he was a younger man, starting out. So it's a good range. We're able to secure these through his family, a sister and a brother who survived it. So we just wanted to give a kind of flavor of it and let people see what they're missing. They need to get out and take a look at it. Like I said, it's up through November. The 17th of November, so. But and he did comics.
Yes, he did. I remember those.
That's what's in the case right there in the front. They're fun. They're art-related comics. The woes and trials and tribulations of what artists go through.
He used to have a website where he published them.
They're a lot of fun. I really enjoy those, but you have to come and see them at the museum. So, and remember we were talking about televisions influenced his work? There's a whole wall of television.
He did televisions and sculpture. And
sculpture. In fact,
matter of fact, the first piece of artwork I saw of his at the famous Little Gallery was he had just brought in 3 of his TV, and I was mesmerized.
We've actually got a couple of them. There's one that's carved in stone. That has metal coming out for the antennas, and another one he did in ceramic that got fired that are in the exhibition.
One in stone used to sit in his backyard.
It's not very big, the one we have. He did several. So and he would do artwork of his characters, but this was a fun thing to kind of look at with Fred here. The idea of his quotes. These are actually in the exhibition, so I kind of like that. The visual arts have a paramount place in the human quest for wisdom and truth via the aesthetic experience. I know you're like that. Art is a true service to humanity. It is.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times we don't get paid for that service.
No.
But to me, painting is about feelings, thinking, ideas, and ideals.
Mm-hmm.
And Fred was, like you said, a lot of things interested him. Esoteric writings interested him.
Mm-hmm.
So he covered a lot of ground. UFOs, you name it. Fred had it in his art. So that was a fun show to have him. And one of the things I liked about Fred, we both would do the Fairhope Art Show and the Mobile Art Show. And one thing every year is Fred would come with Leslie Thompson, the printmaker, and visit both of us for about an hour at our booth. So that's how we knew Fred. He'd come and talk, and we'd get the latest
always
update.
come check in,
Yeah, check in with us, and we'd look at my art, and we'd look at his art, talk about art. Had a good time. We'll miss Fred, but I'm glad he's got the show. So people need to go see it. So, but you know, like they say, wait, there's more. There's even more coming. So we'll look at what's next.
A tall drink of water here.
And here it is. Well spoken. Leanne Hoffman, Mr. Hoffman, as we called him. This show's called A Legacy. And the show's is July the 12th. Now, this one goes to January 5th, 2020. And he was a big fella, like you got, tall. And Lee Merrick Hoffman,
6'4", 6'5".
He passed away in 2010. And this is a picture of him out at Spring Hill College. He taught at Spring Hill College for a while. In fact, some of the pieces in that photograph are in the exhibition. But we'll talk a little bit more about him later. But this is going to give you a good sampling of what we have. And one thing that Stan did that I really like, he was able to get some of Mr. Hoffman's early artworks, early paintings. And a lot of these haven't been seen. These were in his studio. And they haven't been exhibited for years. So he kind of starts off in one area with these earlier pieces. And then we get into the watercolors. Now, there was so much to pick from. In fact, Stan met with Lee's wife, Kay Hoffman, and had to pick, and it was a daunting task to narrow it down. So we didn't include any of the printmaking, which would have been good, but maybe another day. But we have the watercolors and oil, so and it's a unique show. I think it does do justice, and the paintings are grouped kind of by subject matter. He did a lot of plein air painting, and he would do industrial things that were grouped together. We have like landscapes grouped together, downtown Mobile. And then he would take trips to Paris and take students. We have some examples of that. A couple of figurative pieces he did. So it's a good broad range of Mr. Hoffman's artwork. And he didn't grow up in Mobile, but he was a well-known Mobile. Like it says here, he was a beloved painter and teacher. He actually started in Colorado.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, started in Colorado.
He talked about that.
And this is a quote, we don't have to read it, but it talks about his love of paint. And he really, if you notice the earlier pieces, you can see the Matisse influence. He liked Matisse, but he also liked the way paint was applied by Pablo Picasso. And he talks about paint application. And one of the things he talked about here was how seeing the real thing. And I remember him always telling me that. If you can see the real art, it's better than a reproduction.
See how the paint was put on the canvas.
Or a slide. And one thing I wanted to mention, that at the opening I got to talk with Kay and his son, Hoffman's son, Bert. And one of the things I remember about Mr. Hoffman, I learned more. One day he was painting, and he let me watch him paint. I learned more in 10 minutes just watching him paint and watching how he did it. I don't think he could have verbalized it. And I really learned more about painting in that 10 minutes than any other time, I think. And I thought that was a cool thing to watch him do his artwork. So this is a show for him. And that quote is actually quoted from Adrian Hoff out of Mobile Bay Monthly, is where that came from. So, yeah, he was a good instructor and a good man, dry sense of humor. Now, another exhibition we got going on is called Southern Masters. And this is a show featuring 3 local artists who have been producing art for over 40 years. They've been at it a while. And now this show actually opened on July the 12th also. But this one will go through January 5th, 2020, like the Hoffman show. So it's featuring Casey Downing Jr., featuring Bruce Larson and Null. And, we'll get into Null's real name. It's Fred Null Hollis. But he goes by Null. That's what he prefers to go by. So this is work by all 3 artists that's going to be featured. This is up in the main gallery on the 2nd floor of the East Gallery. So, and one of the things we tried to do with this idea was try to get a sense of creating the artist environment, the studio work environment. So
Right.
that hopefully that comes across as we look through the slides at the exhibition. This is the opening. That was the title wall previously. So you walk into the show. This is what you were seeing. I got a couple inserts there.
Right.
One with Noel on the top right and Bruce Larson bottom right. So, but it's a lot. Now we'll start with Casey Downing. He was born in 1948, and a little bit of info on him is that he was, he likes to do figurative work, but he also does abstraction, and he's done both, and he's very good at it. And he has a lot of different materials. He works in bronze, metal, stainless steel. But some of the things we're going to look at are marquettes. He works in wood, ceramic, plaster. And he does drawing. And he's in many public and private collections throughout the home state of Alabama and Mobile. In fact, some of his artworks are on the sculpture trail at the Mobile Museum of Art.
Right.
And he's a graduate of the University of Alabama at Huntsville, and he lives in downtown Mobile, where his studio is located. Like that's a stone piece on the bottom down there, that lighter color beige, and then the other one's a metal piece. And that's a ceramic, actual clay, not ceramic, it's never been fired, but a clay piece he made to make a mold for the piece.
Right.
After the exhibition, he's actually going to recycle the clay and use it again.
Yeah.
So I thought that was kind of neat. And these are shelves. What we tried to do in his studio, he has shelves set up with all these items. So we built shelves to get the feeling, different busts, things he's done for the different areas in the parks in that town. And the little one, the insert, are some of the marquettes he makes
Right.
to work out his ideas for the bigger metal pieces that he constructs. So we were trying to get the idea of how it works for him and what he does. Now, we're getting into Bruce Larson.
Yeah.
Now, he's in Fairhope. He was born in 1959. And Bruce is the guy, if you throw it out at the curb, you may be contributing to his stockpile of art materials, because he's a natural object. He makes items for things he finds, pieces of metal, junk heaps, anything he can find, wood, driftwood, old pieces of parts, machine parts. I like it. They describe him as a repo Renaissance modern archaeologist assembling artifacts in generations years ago in the past. So that's what he does to create the works. And these are, these walls that these artworks are against, these are 12-foot high walls. So you get an idea of the scale of some of these pieces.
Right.
He makes critters, giraffes, horses. It's a real interesting show. And it's a lot of fun.
Nope.
That's okay. We're going to
already
move
moved
on.
on.
We're going to get to Noel. Like I said, known as Fred Noel Hollis, but he goes by Noel. He was also born in 1948. And I know David knows Noel. He lives in Fairhope. And I've met Noel and worked with Noel. And Noel, excuse me, if you had a Southern artist, Noel's your man. I think, he's influenced by a lot of things. He likes Tennessee Williams, William Faulkner, Salvador Dali, Mondrian. He likes Arabic and Byzantine architecture. All these things go into his artwork. Noel likes good friends, good food, good times. He's actually native of Troy, Alabama. But he attended school in Paris. He's got a worldwide foundation. He's well known. He's got a good reputation. And you can see different examples, sculpture, constructed paintings. One thing that is fun about this show, a lot of people know that Noel is a good draftsman, does a lot of etchings, which you usually go back in and hand color with watercolor. But in this exhibition, we've actually got some of his paintings, which is more rare. So that was kind of a nice touch to throw some of the paintings in and show people some of the other works. So this is all going on right now at the Mobile Museum of Art. But one of the things that was added to the idea was that our Southern masters, Casey, Bruce, and all, they each selected an upcoming future possible Southern master, which they picked, and we have included them in a little section of the exhibition. They want Brock Larson. We've got William Legge, and then we've also got a young lady named Jennifer White, and these are some examples of their artworks that are here. Drawings. Now, Brock does what he calls digital pointillism. He's done on graphics with a computer. He'll take a small little object and actually create an image by overlapping it and getting
right.
density. Jennifer is a painter, and then over here you've got some ink type painted drawings by William. So these were also included.
Right.
And we'll see how their futures go, but our Southern Masters thought they were all promising future artists. So that was kind of an overview of all of it and what we've got going on. And you know, like I said, Southern Masters, but we're not quite done.
We have someone missing.
We have someone missing who in their own right is a master. Yeah. I consider a
look
master
there.
artist from the South, Charles Smith. And we wanted to share with folks and let them know that Charles is one of the artists featured in an upcoming book called Alabama Creates 200 Years of Art and Artists. And he's in it.
I think that book is already available.
It probably is available.
And I think I saw it on Amazon.
It may be
so
quite out.
Check it out.
Check it out. And the next slide will show a little bit of the inside. What's in there, and it's all tied to the Alabama Bicentennial. 200 years, Alabama has been a state. And it's like it says here, the University of Alabama Press and the Alabama State Council on the Arts.
Right.
They were all part of this. And it was actually, I believe it was edited by, I've got Elliot Knight, who runs the State Arts Council.
Yeah.
So he was actually editor for it. And we actually have a show right now that'll be up through mid-August that he curated of Alabama artists.
Right.
It's part of the Alabama Bicentennial. So that's all going on at the Mobile Museum of Art. Here's some information.
There you go.
You know, you need to go visit the museum. It's the hours are up there. If you need more information, just simply go to mobilemuseumofart.com, and we've got the information page. You can see the hours we're open. In fact, on Thursdays, we're up till 8 o'clock. And if you are a resident of Mobile County, there is no admission charge that day. So that's a treat. And I just want to give credit for the photographs that we used in this tonight. Some were from Glenn Robinson, and some were for that guy named Kurtis Thomas. Kurtis of the Mobile Museum of Art. So, and these are all on the Facebook page at the Mobile Museum of Art. People want to go on there and look. A lot of these images are also on our webpage, so they're out in the public domain.
And that's our standard fair use.
Yes, our fair. And you know, David, I want to comment. I think you make an excellent Roman style bust.
Oh, you do too.
Yeah, a little goofy.
Look like a modern Caesar there.
Yes, I think you have that look of the. Yes. Okay. But that's
just
our
hanging out down around the forum, you know.
But that's our cultural update for tonight on ArtStreamLIVE, and like I said, an exclusive with us, sharing tonight with everybody to let them see. And I hope they enjoy it. We'll get out at the museum and check out the real thing. Because like Mr. Hoffman said, I can show you in the slides, but seeing the real thing's always better.
That's right.
And if anybody wanted to see your art, what can they do?
They can contact me at simmonsfineart@gmail.com.
And check out David's webpage. And if you go back and look at Charles's slide,
dlsimmonsart.com.
And then I had Charles's webpage, smith-pox.com, is also on there if you want to go look at his work. So,
okay.
I think that's a chock full of information tonight from ArtStreamLIVE.
That's it.
Anything you'd like to add?
Adios.
All right, adios, and hopefully no hurricanes or anything crop up during the next month, and we'll be back in the month of August.
Okay.
Let's see what happens.
Sounds good.
Thank you, everyone. We appreciate you coming. Good night. Thank you.
Okie doke. Look at that. Cannot publish Facebook again. I did a test not more than 45 minutes ago. Everything was perfect. Everything was working. I didn't touch anything. I hit saved and I went downstairs and got a cup of coffee.
Yeah, that was it right
And
there.
I come back up. It's you. That's what it is.
No,
It's you.